guys, this is Dan Seifert from MobileBurn.com. Today we're taking a quick look at the Motorola Expert from Sprint. This is a very similar phone to the Droid Pro that we saw released from Motorola on Verizon Wireless last year, but it's made its way over to Sprint, and there's a couple of different changes or improvements on the carryover to the to Sprint's network. So let's take a quick look at it. Going over the hardware here, it's almost exactly the same as the Droid Pro. You've got a hardware QWERTY keyboard here, very similar to a BlackBerry type of keyboard, very similar scalloping on the keys and such. Above that, you've got 4 capacitive buttons for your menu, home, back, and search. And then you've got the 3.1-inch HVGA touchscreen. So this one's a little bit lower resolution than a lot of the screens that we're seeing on the market today. It's only got 320 by 480 pixels of resolution. Above that, you've got an indicator light buried up in here, as well as ambient light sensors, and then you've got your earpiece as well. Taking a look at the bottom of the phone, very Spartan, pretty basic. It's got a microphone port here. On the side, you've got the same quick shortcut key that you have on the Droid Pro right there, but nothing else. Above is in the center is the 3.5mm headphone jack. And then you've got your power, sleep, and unlock key on the side. And then looking around the other side of the phone, you've got your volume up and down rocker, and then your micro USB charging and syncing port. And there's a little indicator light in here to let you know that the phone is charging when you've plugged it in. The back of the device is a little bit different than the Droid Pro. Instead of the glossy cover that the Droid Pro had, the Expert uses a soft touch rubber cover, which is a bit nicer in the hand. Gives you a little bit more to grip, more to hold on to. Definitely a better feel than the Droid Pro had. You've got a 5-megapixel autofocus camera there with a dual LED flash. It's capable of recording video, however, it does not record any HD video. If you notice here, the phone itself is actually a little bit thicker than the Droid Pro by about a few tenths of a millimeter. And it's a little bit heavier as well. It's about 147 grams. Popping open the back cover here gives us a look at the insides. And yes, this is a global phone, just like the Droid Pro was, so it is capable of working on both GSM and CDMA networks worldwide. There's a 2GB micro SD card pre-installed here. It can support up to 32 gigabytes of cards, and there's also 2 gigabytes of internal storage. Right here is a big change from the Droid Pro. You've got a much bigger battery than the Droid Pro came with. The battery that comes with the Expert is an 1860 milliamp hour battery. Sprint claims about 9 hours of battery life from that. It's significantly larger than the Droid Pro, which had a 1420 milliamp battery there. But definitely that's the reason for the added thickness. You can see it kind of sticks out the back of the phone a little bit, so that makes the case a little bit thicker and the phone itself a little bit heavier. But the added battery life certainly isn't complained about by most users. Taking a look at the software here, the Expert runs the Android 2.2 Froyo. It's also got a little bit of modification from Motorola. They're not really calling this Moto Blur anymore, but it is definitely a modified interface. It is not your standard Android stock interface. But you got 7 home screens that you can page through, just like you have with the Droid Pro. Pretty snappy and fast. Uses the same 1 gigahertz processor, and it's got 512 megabytes of RAM. As you can see down here at the bottom, when you swipe through a home screen, you can quickly jump to other home screens by tapping the dots, or go right back home. After a moment, that drops away, and you've got your icons to access your phone dialer, the All Apps tray, and then your contact list. The contact list is, you can see where Motorola has modified things and skinned it for its own purposes. You've got your contacts listed here, and then you can also swipe through and look at different various social networking status updates integrated with the system. And then you can view your history here of messages, emails, phone calls, stuff like that, right there from the Contacts application. Looking at all the applications that we have installed, this is capable of using it as a mobile hotspot, so that application is there. Google Books is installed. A couple other ones from Sprint we find. We've got your NASCAR application that we seem to find on every single Sprint phone. Motorola's phone portal is pretty cool. It allows you to synchronize the data with your phone. You can actually do it over a Wi-Fi network. You got your Sprint Football, Sprint Mobile Wallet, Sprint Music Plus, Sprint Radio, Sprint TV, Sprint Worldwide, Sprint Zone. A lot of different Sprint applications that are pre-installed, and then they've also added the Telnav GPS application. Taking a look at the browser, got a slightly modified version of the Android browser here. It's not bad, it's pretty fast. You can navigate easily through and switch between different window panes. As you can see, as it takes a moment to load up our web page, we do have Sprint 3G coverage here, but it is not the fastest 3G coverage, so it can take a moment to load up. Okay, now that we've got our website loaded up, you can see it allows us to scroll through. You can double tap to zoom in. You can also pinch to zoom as well. It's not the fastest browser, but this is our site is pretty heavy with all the Flash ads. So you can see the Flash content is supported right there in the browser. You can also watch the Flash videos directly in the browser as well. Let's see if this one will load up for us. And it works in landscape in addition to portrait. There we go, you got some playback of videos right there in the browser. You can also switch between various pages that you might have open at the same time by going to the Windows button, and then you can jump back and forth between two different pages that you might have open. Taking a look at the messaging client. Pretty straightforward messaging client. It is a little different in appearance than your standard Android client. You've got kind of a dark theme going on here. And then you have your bubbled text messages. Of course, they show up in conversation view. There's also a messaging widget here over pre-installed on the one of the home screens, so you can see your unseen messages that have recently come in. Next to that, you also have a calendar widget, so you can see upcoming appointments. Motorola also has integrated a lot into its messaging hub. So there you can access all of your messages at once. You can access your text messaging, your email, non-Gmail email accounts, and your and social networking accounts that you have in there. So once you've linked your Facebook account to the Motorola interface here in the messaging app, you can then access the messages there. This is not the Android Facebook application, that would be separate. And then you've got a standard email client here. Nothing too spectacular about it, but you do have multiple message management. You can see formatted text right there. Pinch to zoom works as well. And of course, you do also have the standard Gmail client that comes with every Android phone. And that is as expected. Does not support pinch to zoom, but it does work very well. The widgets that are pre-installed are Motorola's skinned widgets. You can of course also install widgets that from any Android application. And there we see another widget that gives us status updates, and you can update your status right there from one of the home screen widgets. Sprint and Motorola are really positioning this towards business users, so there's pre-installed the Quick Office application, so you can access documents while on the phone. Taking a look at the camera that's on the Motorola Expert, there's this convenient shortcut key here that we set to launch the camera, so you can quickly and easily take photos once you've launched the camera. However, unfortunately, it does not actually snap photos. You do have to do that with the on-screen button there. As you can see, it will autofocus before taking the photo. You can hold autofocus and then slide off if it doesn't meet your expectations. This arrow here brings up a couple options for different effects that you can set. You can control the flash, you can switch to camcorder. This is a 5 megapixel camera with zoom as well, so you can see we're zooming in there. Once you snap a photo, you get a quick review of it, and then you can tap the thumbnail there and access the gallery application, where you can then pinch to zoom on it, look at it closer, and you can also share it quickly and easily. Switching over to video, this does not record HD video, but it does do 720 by 480 resolution video. Pretty simple. Tap to start, and then tap to stop as well. Just like the still images, you can hit the thumbnail and then review it immediately. Tap to start. Pretty basic camera controls there. So that was a quick look at the Motorola Expert for Sprint. This is definitely a position for a business user, but certainly not something that other users wouldn't enjoy using, especially if you are a fan of QWERTY keyboards. It is a Portrait QWERTY, which is, if you're going to have a hardware keyboard, these are the type that I personally prefer. The keyboard feels great, it's very clicky, it's very reminiscent of a BlackBerry, but then of course you've got the whole Android operating system and the touchscreen above it. Touchscreen's a bit small than we're usually used to seeing, and it's also a bit lower resolution. It's probably not the best platform if you're going to be playing Angry Birds on your phone all day long. But if you're a business user and you need something that works globally, then certainly the Motorola Expert can get the job done for you. It is nice to see that they're packed a huge battery with it. The 1860 milliamp hour battery should give a good amount of talk time and usage time in between charges. So there you have it, Motorola Motorola Expert for Sprint. It's available now. This is Dan Seifert, MobileBurn.com.